Well, you know, they took the other book. They didn't want to put the other book out. They wouldn't put any promotion behind it. You know, they fired him from the newspaper.
Yes.
I mean, from the newspaper. I mean, Gary was catching purity hell from everywhere. You know, one of my friends, Jesse Katz from the L.A. Times, he come down and you know, try to secretly do an interview with me that I felt was totally improper. You know, that I didn't know what was going on. So, you know, all of them ganged up on him. And I thought that it was really unfair. I thought that they should go and do an investigation and try to prove that he was right.
But that's what he's been proven right. But that's why they killed him. He had another book coming out to prove all that. Good guys get torn down by COINTELPRO, and that's what they did to Gary Webb, and he wouldn't shut up, so they killed him. We'll be right back with Freeway Ricky Ross. Stay with us. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, Kevin Booth's film that I'm in and consulted on, American Drug War, details the fraud of the drug war. He's got part 2 of it out that's a lot more hardcore, getting into government drug dealing, how the fake drug war works, how they want to ban and restrict vitamins like they're drugs now, even vitamin C and fish oil. It's all covered in how weed won the West. It starts shipping the 15th of this month. Pre-order it today. You can get American Drug War half price at Infowars.com. FreewayEnterprise.com is the website of Freeway Ricky Ross, probably the biggest drug dealer in West Coast history, who discovered that the CIA was why he was getting cocaine cheaper than anybody else. And they've got similar people all over today, just like Tony Montana says in Scarface, which is based on a composite of true stories. Oliver Stone wrote that with real drug dealers. He's sitting there in his hot tub and he's going, they're the banks. They've got it all figured out. They've been here 1,000 years. They'll be here in 1,000 years. Fly, Pelican. And, I mean, basically, that's what's going on, ladies and gentlemen. And they use people like Ricky Ross, a real-life Tony Montana, except he's not out murdering people, and set him up to get him out of the way. Now, Ricky, you know, I've thrown out a lot of questions. I have a lot of questions here from Twitter. But anything else you want to impart to this audience of a couple million people, what you think is important, what you're currently doing before we get into some of the listener questions?
Well, Alex, I think that an ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure. I think that we got to get out here to our kids. We got to start talking to them, and we got to start listening, you know, to what they're saying. You know, I've been visiting a lot of these kids, these schools in the ghettos, and man, it's amazing that these kids come up to me after I finish talking to them and say, you know what, nobody never told me to think like this kid. You know, basically what I'm teaching them, Alex, is that you have to take something and put it in your hand and weigh it. You know, you just don't take everything at face value for what the TV says, what rappers say, or what your guy down the street say, or what your neighbors say. You have to be able to think for yourself and analyze every situation for what it is, because when you start letting other people think for you, you're in trouble. They're going to take you, they're going to use you, and you'll become their victim.
On the drug war, all the statistics, all the studies, European countries that have done it, if we decriminalize drugs, on average, within a decade, drug use drops by more than half, crime implodes. Look what happened with alcohol prohibition, and alcohol kills 300,000 people a year. What is your stance on drug decriminalization?
I totally agree with you that if you take the value out of drugs, then it will no longer have the attraction that it has right now. Right now, drug dealing has an appeal. You know, Alex, right now they treat me like a rock star out here on the streets. You know, when I go places, people come up to me and hug me. They want to take pictures with me. I've probably taken 20, 30,000 pictures since I've been home. I go to USC football games, they want to take pictures. I go to the Lakers games, they want to take pictures. When I go to the schools. So, you know, it's something wrong with that way of thinking. You know, when you figure that I was the drug dealer, that why would anybody want to take pictures with a guy like this here? It's because of the decriminalization. It's the glamour that goes with it. You know, you beat the system. You're different. We have to take that kind of stuff out of it.
Exactly. You take the $500 billion a year in the U.S. connected to illegal drugs out of it, and it will disappear overnight, and we can have real communities and not have these cancers in the community, and the system knows that. That's why they chose the black community to put the cocaine out in it, just like they say in The Godfather. You know, keep it in the colored area. They're animals. Absolutely. Let them lose their souls. Absolutely. And on top of that, Alex, look at the prison industry. They have these guys, they put these guys in there 19 years old and give them 20 years, and these guys work 20 years, but then on top of that, they pay them 25 cents an hour, but then they charge the taxpayer $40,000 a year per guy.
You know, take a guy like me. They gave me a life sentence for selling drugs. I was going to live another 50 years. So America, taxpayers, you, Alex, would have been paying $40,000 a year to keep me in prison, plus my medical bills, and then you only feed me beans and rice. Where's all this money going? You know, you got me in a room the size of a closet. The sheets probably only cost $1. Where's all the money going, Alex? Who's getting greed from this prison industry?
Well, that's what's sick, Ricky, is I know you've studied this being in there for more than 20 years, but I've looked at it in depth. The major global private prison industries are all owned and run by the biggest money laundering, drug dealing banks.
Huh. Ain't that crazy? Don't that all come together? And then the only people that can invest in that company, you have to be a part of the government. Judge, prosecutor, police officer. I mean, it's like one big family. Everybody's benefiting. Everybody's profiting.
Well, that's how they legalize slavery again. They put addictive substances out that they know people are going to get addicted to. They promote it in the movies like it's cool and fun and glamorous. And when you use it, they lock you up in their private prison owned by the kingpin drug dealers.
Alex, you figured that thing out. You know it better than I do, and I live there. That's exactly the way it works, Alex. I don't know how you did it from out here. You're one of the conscious ones. But that's what we need the rest of our country to wake up to and know that, you know, we can take that money that we're pumping into their pockets and start using it to educate our kids. Alex, you know, I go to those schools, and these schools don't have the basic books that our kids need to learn. It's ridiculous.
It's incredible. Ricky, I want to bring Kevin Booth up, who has interviewed you and posted it on his Sacred Cow site, who's been working with you for the last 5, 6, 7 years in prison, was also working with Gary Webb till he got murdered. I want to bring Kevin up with some of his questions or stories about working with you and how great it is to now have you as a force of truth out on the street.
Kevin is another trailblazer like Gary, man. Kevin gets it in. Kevin comes out here, and believe me, Alex, I worry about him sometimes. He's in South Central Los Angeles, gang-infested South Central Los Angeles, little Kevin, white boy, with a camera. Can you believe that? When I saw that, I was like, Kevin, are you out of your mind?
I can hear Kevin right now. Kevin, you're on with Freeway Ricky Ross. Good to have you here with us.
Hey, man. It practically brings a tear to my eye to hear Ricky free and talking to you and everything like that, so it's a really great day.
Kevin, tell the story. You rode back with Freeway Ricky Ross on the Greyhound bus for, 20 hours? What was that like? 20
hours. Try practically 48 hours. It's about 38 hours. I think Ricky chose the bus ride because however long, if he flew, he would have only gotten out for 8 hours to go to the halfway house, so he chose the bus trip so he could at least have 36 hours of freedom to go to the halfway house. But I think the last time I came on your show, we were all talking about how Ricky had a release date and they weren't going to adhere by it and all the games that they played. And I heard Ricky mention Congresswoman Waters. I like to just say what a great help she was. She really came to bat for Ricky there at the end.
That's right, Ricky. They were going to keep you in the slammer.
Yeah, they wasn't planning on letting me out, but, you know, you guys stood up, and now I'm here, and you know what I'm saying? I hope you guys keep me up under your wing now. You don't let me out here by myself. Hey, because you know this country, they hold grudges.
Absolutely. You were trying to say something when we cut you off, Ricky.
I said that don't you guys leave me out here by myself. You know, these people, they hold grudges, and, you know, I'm going to continue to do what I do.
But before Kevin started talking, you were trying to say something to Kevin. Do you remember what that was?
What was I saying? Oh, good that you're on the show, Kev. I can't remember exactly what it was, but, you know, Kevin is a trailblazer, man. He's out here, you know, like I was saying, he's in South Central with his cameras, and sometimes I'll be worried about him. You know, I say, man, you got to be careful going over there, Kevin. I grew up over here. So, you know, they have a little white guy with a camera over here, you know.
Amazing. Kevin, you know, there's so many questions I've asked Ricky, and I want Ricky to, talk more about his experience in prison, before that with the CIA. But Kevin, any questions you've got for Ricky?
Oh, you know, not really. I mean, we talk all the time, but it just, you know, once again, it just makes me happy to hear Ricky on the show finally and being able to express himself so well. And
I know, Kevin. Obviously, you talk to Ricky all the time. You guys are good friends. I'm saying, any interesting questions for the radio listeners?
Well, why don't you talk a little bit about the halfway house experience and that whole process that you were forced to go through and how ridiculous that was.
Oh, yeah, that's another one, Alex. They expect us to go out in the halfway house. Now every place you go, you got to fill out a job application online, right? You would think that the halfway house would have computers, right?
Yes.
No computers, no cell phones. You can only go out at a certain time to look for a job. I mean, total BS. Guess how much they make a day for holding an inmate? $75. Taxpayers' money.
And they call these places halfway house. It's a total joke. I mean, my brother was mentally ill, and he was in what I would consider a real halfway house. They're actual houses.